Welcome on board the Virgin Voyages Valiant Lady, a beautiful cruise ship. We are cruising here through the Mediterranean, and one really nice thing about this itinerary from Virgin Voyages is it's a Mediterranean cruise, but we're not stopping at all the usual Mediterranean cruise ports for a cruise leaving Barcelona. We're not stopping at Naples. We're not stopping at Genoa. We're not stopping at Civitavecchia. We're going places like Ajaccio, Ibiza. And today we are in Cagliari. As with any cruise port, there are so many things to do. There are so many options. This video is not to tell you about a bunch of options. I'm just gonna tell you what we did today, and what I want to do is give you like a possibility. Morning, hi. I know a lot of people out there are not interested in doing a ton of research before their trip. I totally get that. Some people aren't interested and some people just don't have the time. And so if you are going to be cruising to Cagliari, then check this out. This is what we did today and how it worked. From directly outside of our cruise ship, there were shuttle buses running to like the edge of the marina area. And from there, it's about a 10-minute walk into the edge of the city. There's also right here in the cruise port, there was a tourist information where they also sold tickets for the hop-on, hop-off buses and a little like tourist train that goes through the city. When you get into the city, there is a larger tourist information center almost right across the street from where the bus drops you off. I don't know what I'm looking like on camera right now. It is nice and air conditioned here in the cabin. We're back on the ship, but
oh my gosh,
it is hot.
It's the beginning of September here in 2022, and already at 10:30 this afternoon here in Cagliari, it was 86 degrees Fahrenheit, which is like, what is that? It's like 33 degrees Celsius. And I have sweat so much today. Cagliari has a lot, it's steep. There's a lot of walking up and walking down, and whew, sweaty. All right, one fascinating thing about this city is most of the cathedrals that are open to the public also have fascinating underground areas where you can go under the cathedral and see not only like the crypts, the areas where bodies were buried or were to be buried or are buried, but you can also see remnants of the old city that was buried underneath everything that's there now. And I'm talking like ancient Roman times old, not like 100 years old. The first stop on our self-guided tour was the Church of Saint Eulalia. We walked up the hill through this unassuming little church to a door behind the building, which led to a passageway under the street. Down there, they have excavated parts of a lost Roman city that's over 2,000 years old. Isn't that crazy? 2,000 years ago, people were walking down these streets, living inside these walls, getting water from that well, and over the years, the modern city just kind of grew up on top of the old city. Admission to the ruins cost €5, and it included entrance to a museum of religious art upstairs, and it was the kind of things to look at that show you just how much fun religion can be. Some of the underground areas that we saw were part of like a museum, and some of them are just sort of like honor system donation only, where you put a couple euros into a box and then you can go down and explore on your own as well. This is kind of creepy, but it's also kind of cool in here, which is nice because it's still like 89 degrees outside. found found the stone where the virgins are sacrificed, and you know, we are on a Virgin Voyages, so better get started here pretty soon if we want to make it back to the buffet before lunchtime. And I just think it's fascinating to see this kind of stuff. It's one of many options that you can do here, and we did it self-guided. We just walked off the ship, looked for the churches, went into the church, looked for the arrows going down, and it was an interesting way to spend the afternoon sweating across Cagliari. By the way, after we went to 2 or 3 of these places, we also went to a nice little cafe, sat inside in the air conditioning, which was so nice, had some bruschetta, had some pasta, had a glass of wine. It was a really great way to spend the afternoon. And then we sweat our way back to the bus, and now we're back on the ship. Oh, by the way, in the restaurant, there was a guy with his wife or girlfriend or sister sitting next to us who was eating so loudly. This was like if you were going to be casting the role of a slob in a comedy movie. This guy was such a loud, sloppy eater, and not only was he eating loud and sloppy, but he was also like snorting the whole time. I don't know if he was eating something spicy. Maybe he had like pasta arrabbiata or something like that. Sometimes when you eat spicy stuff, your nose runs. At least that happens to me. But this guy was like sitting with his legs spread open, with his elbows out wide, just shoveling noodles into his mouth and like...
You got some more of that. Let me try some of that.
Gross. I try to be a very accepting, fun, loving person, but that was just that was a lot. I don't know how that woman can sit across from him for every meal and just like deal with that. Glad it's not my problem. So if you're gonna be cruising to Cagliari and you don't have a plan, maybe make this your plan. In the next video from this series, I will be taking you with me to the crazy, insane Scarlet Night pool party. I've never seen grown-ups act like this on a cruise ship before, but in a strange way, it was one of the absolute highlights for me on this cruise. If this video helped you, please, before you go, press the thumbs up button because that helps me, and consider subscribing if you haven't subscribed already. Also, there's links in the description below the video of other ways you can support me. For instance, I wrote a book called Getting Stitches on a Cruise Ship with stories about my life as a professional musical theater performer and stories about crazy things that have happened to me around the world. For instance, getting stitches on a cruise ship. And even if you don't do any of those things, I'm still happy that you are here, and maybe we will see each other here again on the Very Unofficial Travel Guides. See you later.